The hour that broke the city. New York City once got 3.15 inches of rain in a single hour. That is not bring an umbrella rain. That is the sky has selected pressure washer mode rain. The city's sewer system could generally handle around 1.5 to 2 inches per hour, so the rain was arriving roughly twice as fast as the underground system could remove it. Streets filled, roads became rivers, and water poured into buildings and public transit. And this is the important part. Just over a week earlier, another storm dropped about 7 inches on New York. More total rain, but spread it across several hours. That storm caused less flooding. So a city's real enemy is not only how much rain falls, it is how quickly it falls, where the water lands, and whether the city has anywhere to put it. Think of your city as a bathtub. Rain is the faucet. Drains, pipes, canals, pumps, soil, and wetlands are the plug hole. If water enters faster than it can leave, congratulations, your neighborhood is now an unauthorized swimming facility. First problem, the city has put a lid over the ground. In a forest, field, or wetland, some rain lands on plants, some collects in small depressions, and a lot of it slowly soaks into the soil. Cities replace that soil with roofs, sidewalks, roads, driveways, and parking lots. These are called impervious surfaces, which is engineering language for water is absolutely not getting through that. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says these hard surfaces reduce infiltration and make stormwater run off both faster and in larger amounts. Pour water onto a sponge. Now pour it onto a dinner plate. The sponge absorbs some. The plate sends nearly all of it racing toward the edge. A concrete-covered city is millions of dinner plates connected together. Roofs send water into gutters. Parking lots send it into streets. Streets slope toward drains. Thousands of separate flows arrive underground at nearly the same time. The drainage system suddenly experiences the hydraulic equivalent of everyone leaving a concert through one doorway. Technically, there is an exit. Emotionally, the exit has given up, and the amount of water becomes ridiculous very quickly. Just 1 inch of rain over 1 square mile equals about 17.4 million gallons. A 3.15-inch downpour, like the one recorded in Central Park, represents about 54.7 million gallons per square mile. That does not mean every gallon immediately enters a drain. Some gets absorbed, stored, or delayed. But in a heavily paved area, a huge share can start moving almost at once. This is why a storm that looks manageable on a weather app can become a logistical nightmare at street level. Second problem, the drains have a speed limit. Drainage systems are not bottomless portals to another dimension. Every pipe, culvert, canal, tunnel, and pumping station has a maximum capacity. If rain enters at a lower rate, the system carries it away. If rain arrives faster, water backs up from drains, rises through manholes, collects in underpasses, and flows downhill into low-lying buildings. New York estimated handle 3.5 inches per hour would require enlarging roughly 7,400 miles of sewers, increasing the capacity of pumping stations, and modifying thousands of catch basin connections. The city's 2021 estimate was around $100 billion. So when someone says, why don't they just install bigger pipes? The answer is, they can. They just need several decades, enormous construction projects, and the approximate contents of a cartoon billionaire's vault. A lot of drainage infrastructure was also designed using historical rainfall records, but the assumption that yesterday's rainfall patterns will remain unchanged is increasingly unsafe. New York, for example, began updating its rainfall projections and engineering standards after recent record-breaking storms exposed weaknesses in older assumptions. Then there is maintenance. Leaves, sediment, plastic, construction debris, and street litter can obstruct drains and reduce how much water gets through. In Jakarta, the World Bank reported that poor maintenance, garbage, and heavy sediment buildup left some waterways operating at less than 1/3 of their original capacity. But blaming every citywide flood entirely on trash is also too simple. A blocked drain can flood a street. During a truly extreme downpour, even spotless drains can be overwhelmed because the total volume exceeds the entire system's design capacity. New York's post-Ida report specifically said the immense rainfall volume, not clogged catch basins, was the main reason for that event's flooding, although regular cleaning still reduces flooding during smaller storms. So yes, clean the drains, but do not expect one heroic street sweeper to defeat atmospheric physics. Third problem. Cities removed their emergency water storage, water naturally spreads into floodplains, wetlands, ponds, and marshes. These places are not empty land waiting for a shopping center. They are the landscape's overflow storage. FEMA says natural floodplains slow runoff and temporarily store floodwater. Wetlands can hold stormwater and delay its movement downstream, lowering peak flows. 1 acre of floodplain covered by 1 foot of water can hold roughly 330,000 gallons. Cover that acre with buildings and asphalt, and you lose storage while creating extra runoff. The city has effectively deleted part of its sponge and replaced it with another plate. Development also places more homes, shops, roads, and utilities directly in water's natural path. A World Bank-led study published in Nature examined global settlement growth between 1985 and 2015. Overall settlement area expanded by about 85%, while settlements in the highest flood hazard zones expanded by 122%. That means humanity has not merely experienced more urban flooding. In many places, we have been actively moving more buildings toward it. Why? Floodplains are flat. Flat land is easy to build on. It is often close to rivers, ports, city centers, and jobs. In rapidly growing cities, safer land may also be expensive or unavailable. The problem is that flat and convenient is sometimes nature's way of saying, this area occasionally belongs to the river. A river does not check the property records before returning. Fourth problem, the rain itself is getting heavier. Climate change is not the only cause of urban flooding. It does not create every storm, and it cannot explain poor planning, blocked canals, or paved wetlands. But it can load the storm with more water. For each degree Celsius of warming, the atmosphere can hold roughly 7% more water vapor. That does not mean every rainstorm becomes exactly 7% wetter. Storms still depend on winds, moisture supplies, geography, and local weather conditions. It means that when conditions produce heavy rain, there can be more moisture available to fall. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change concludes with high confidence that heavy precipitation has intensified across most land regions with sufficient observations, and that further warming will generally intensify heavy precipitation. Some cities can even influence rainfall locally. Buildings disrupt airflow. Urban surfaces trap heat. Air pollution supplies particles around which water can condense. The IPCC notes that urbanization can increase heavy precipitation over or downwind of cities, although the size and direction of the effect vary by location and storm. So the city changes the ground beneath the storm. Sometimes it also changes the air inside it. Very efficient. Terrible choice of efficiency. Fifth problem. Some cities are physically sinking. Flooding becomes much harder to prevent when the ground itself is moving downward. This is called land subsidence. In many cities, one major cause is pumping groundwater faster than underground aquifers can recover. Layers of sediment compact, and the surface slowly sinks. Think of draining water from a firm sponge until the sponge collapses and cannot fully puff back up. Now imagine roads, homes, pipes, and canals sitting on top of it. The U.S. Geological Survey says subsidence increases flood susceptibility and can permanently reduce an aquifer's storage capacity. Jakarta is one of the clearest examples. According to the World Bank, intensive groundwater extraction has caused parts of coastal Jakarta to sink by as much as 4.5 meters over roughly 50 years. Subsidence lowers neighborhoods relative to rivers and the sea, while also reducing gravity's ability to move stormwater through canals and outfalls. It is like lowering the bathroom floor while leaving the bathtub drain in its original position. Eventually, water does not flow out naturally. it needs pumps. And if the pumps lose power, fail, or simply cannot keep up, the water stays. In coastal cities, high tides or storm surge can also push against drainage outlets, making it harder for rainwater to escape. Add sea level rise and subsidence together, and a drainage system that once worked by gravity can begin fighting water from both directions. Why the water always finds the worst possible place? Once the drainage system is overwhelmed, water follows gravity. It moves toward tunnels, underpasses, underground stations, basements, parking garages, and former streams that were buried beneath roads. Those places may look random on a modern street map. They are often not random at all. Some flooded streets trace old creeks, marshes, or drainage channels that were filled, paved, or placed inside pipes. New York now includes historic waterways when identifying neighborhoods vulnerable to cloudbursts. Water has an annoyingly good memory for geography. You can rename a creek Luxury Residences Boulevard. The water remains unconvinced. And flooding is not only water entering homes. It stops buses and trains. Workers cannot reach jobs. Shops lose inventory. Deliveries fail. Cars are damaged. Elevators, electrical rooms, and internet equipment can go offline. Floodwater can also mix with sewage, chemicals, fuel, and street pollution before entering buildings or waterways. The economic damage spreads far beyond the visibly flooded blocks. A restaurant does not need to be underwater to lose money. It only needs its staff, customers, or food deliveries to be unable to reach it. Can cities actually fix this? Yes, but there is no single giant drain that solves everything. The strongest approach is to give rain several escape routes. New York describes this as absorb, store, and transfer. Absorb water using trees, soil, rain gardens, green roofs, and permeable pavement. Store it temporarily in wetlands, tanks, ponds, lowered parks, playgrounds, or specially designed public spaces. Then transfer it through upgraded pipes, canals, and streets once the worst part of the storm has passed. Some parks can become temporary shallow reservoirs during extreme storms and return to normal afterward. Basketball courts and plazas can be built slightly lower so floodwater flows toward them instead of into homes. New York's cloudburst projects use open spaces and underground storage to keep water out of sewers until capacity becomes available again. Cities can also restore wetlands and floodplains, protect remaining waterways, enforce flood-aware zoning, update rainfall standards, control groundwater pumping, and maintain drains before storm season. And yes, traditional infrastructure still matters. Larger culverts, additional pipes, pumping stations, flood barriers, and underground tanks may be essential, especially in dense neighborhoods where there is little open land. Green infrastructure is not a magical fern that defeats a hurricane. It works best as part of a network that combines natural storage, engineered drainage, sensible development, and emergency planning. The goal is not to guarantee that a city will never flood. No realistic system can instantly remove unlimited rain. The goal is to stop an extreme storm from becoming a chain reaction. Roof to road, road to drain, drain to basement, basement to electrical system to entire neighborhood. A flood may begin in the clouds, but whether it becomes a citywide disaster is often decided decades earlier, in planning offices, construction sites, maintenance budgets, and decisions about what gets paved. A city floods when rain arrives faster than the whole urban landscape can absorb, store, or release it. The storm may last one night, but the flood is usually years in the making. What place in your city should be redesigned to hold rainwater during extreme storms? A park, parking lot, road, or something else?